When you think of Shikamaru Nara, the first thing that comes to mind is his IQ, which is over 200, making him a literal genius. Chakra is not enough, he relies on his intelligence to defeat strong opponents, and in the later stages, he even killed Akatsuki members and became the 6th and the 7th Hokage's auxiliary. But for Shikamaru's intelligence, the original work has been expressed to the fullest. This video will not only see his intelligence, but also his growth and attraction. Shikamaru appears to be very lazy when he first appears. He is a very lazy person when it comes to school, sleeps through exams, and gets the same grades as Naruto. He has no interest in women and looks like he has seen no desire. He finds everything very troublesome and seems to be unmotivated about everything. But don't be fooled by these appearances, he is a genius in the literal sense. The only reason he did not do well was that he was too lazy to write during the exam. Fear of trouble is because his mind is too meticulous. There will be a lot of consideration before doing things. As for saying that there is no interest in women, so that Shikamaru is actually a hidden master. Not exactly. For the ninja, his talent is actually very ordinary. Only the family's secret shadow jutsu, wants to use other ninjutsu can only use the scroll. The most important thing is that his chakra looks seriously inadequate and will be depleted in every battle. Even shadow possession jutsu's successful control time is very short and can be broken free by brute force. As the team's commander, his combat power is really not strong once he leaves his teammates. With Shikamaru's intelligence, he should never leave himself alone to face the enemy. But in fact, he often leaves the teammates of his own accord. This is exactly where he attracts people. For the sake of his companions, fear of trouble, he can risk his life. This is why his sensei Asuma commented that he had the qualifications to become a Hokage. Shikamaru's first big break came at the Chunin exams. In the second test, Team 10 happened to find Team 7, who were surrounded by Sound Ninja. In fact, their position at the time, and all the others are opponents of each other. To help each other is a high-risk, no-gain thing. If Shikamaru were an absolutely rational and wise man, he would have stood by and watched. But instead of doing so, he persuaded the hesitant Ino to help Sakura, and finally led the timid Choji to stand up for himself. He puts the friendship between his classmates above profit and safety. In the third qualifying round of the exam, Shikamaru once again faced Sound Ninja. The opponent's ability is to cast Genjutsu through the bell, but this Genjutsu is very low level, not even VR effect. Shikamaru easily captured her, using the wall behind the opponent to knock her out. Although the opponent was not strong, Shikamaru won so easily that he impressed Naruto. In the main event, he drew a lottery to determine his opponent, and he got the woman he was destined to meet, Temari. His match was supposed to be the last one, but after Naruto and Neji's match, the second match was postponed because Sasuke was late, and Kankuro in the third match simply abstained because he didn't want to expose his strength, and as a result, Shikamaru was caught off guard and had to go on the field. His opponent, Temari, was a bit arrogant and was skipped in first two matches, prompting boos from the crowd. She didn't want Sunagakure to be looked down upon, so she made a gorgeous jump to the field. Shikamaru saw how confident Temari was and how much power she had shown, so he tried to abstain. Shikamaru had no choice but to fight as Naruto quickly pushed him off the mat and Temari attacked him. He ran into a small forest of shadows and tried to lure Temari in. But Temari had seen Shikamaru's shadow possession jutsu in the qualifiers and saw through his plan right away, attacking with a wind style from afar. Shikamaru tries to extend his shadow with the help of the wall, but the distance is still not enough, so he has to hide in the forest, and his coat is blown up to the sky. But by this time, he had already thought of a plan and was just waiting for the right moment. As time passes and the sun sets, the shadows on the walls cover more of the field, and Shikamaru takes Temari by surprise with the lengthening shadows, but Temari narrowly avoids them. But Shikamaru's plan is not only one step. A dot suddenly appeared at Temari's feet. Surprisingly, before Shikamaru was blown away, clothes turned into a shadow-making parachute. Temari realizes that she will sooner or later be defeated by this scheming man, so she plans to use her final move to win the battle. Just as she was about to make her seal, suddenly, her body wouldn't move. How is it possible? She had clearly avoided the shadow. Shikamaru told her to turn around, and she was surprised to find the shadow sticking out of the hole behind her. It turns out that this hole is the tunnel that Naruto dug during his match with Neji, and his first two subtle attacks were just an ambush to lure her to the tunnel. The third step was the real plan, and shadow possession jutsu succeeded. Temari was unable to control her body and was forced to walk towards Shikamaru, and the distance between them grew closer and closer until they could smell each other's noses. Asuma and Anko looked at Shikamaru with relief, while Temari closed her eyes as she gave up resistance. Shikamaru took a deep breath. I've lost, abstain. This statement should be a confession in Temari's mind. I think Shikamaru looked at more than 3 steps, he saw life planning. Shikamaru explained that Chakra was exhausted and shadow possession jutsu lasted no more than 10 seconds, and although more than 200 strategies were considered, none of them worked. Although he lost the match, his tact and calm judgment impressed the ninjas watching on the sidelines. After that, Sasuke finally arrives at the arena and has a fierce battle with Gaara, but there is a sudden change in the middle of the match when Kabuto launches a sleep genjutsu covering the entire arena. Orochimaru, who is hiding in the arena, starts a war. Shikamaru saw the situation and decided to pretend to sleep. So many Jonin are present, he'd better protect himself first. But the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. He just showed his talent, it is difficult to be ignored. Kakashi assigned him, along with Naruto, Sakura, and Ninken Pakken, to track down Sasuke and Gaara. On the way, Pakken found 9 enemy pursuers behind him and judging from their speed, they were very strong. Shikamaru immediately knew that the situation was serious and looked at his own side. An idiot, a female ninja with little strength, a dog, and the first to escape himself. Once caught up, the whole team may be wiped out. So Shikamaru decided that he had to leave one person behind to delay the enemy, but at 1v9, the one left behind was in grave danger. Shikamaru decides to become the one who stays behind. The only person who has the ability to hold off the enemy and possibly survive is him, who owns Shadow Jutsu. But the fight with Temari just now has exhausted his chakra, and he is just trying to get Naruto and the others to leave. He used a branch to imitate the dog's footprints to draw his pursuers together and used Shadow Possession Jutsu to control them all, but there were only 8 enemies in front of him, while Pakken clearly said there were 9 pursuers. Shikamaru smiled bitterly and threw a shuriken at the enemy, and sure enough, the kunai shot out, knocking out all the shuriken. The 9th enemy seems to be hiding in the tree. But at this point, Shikamaru does not mention the shadow to capture. His few remaining chakra cannot even maintain control of 8 people. He is in a desperate situation. Suddenly a black shadow appears behind Shikamaru, not an enemy, but Asuma-sensei. Asuma is the one who has successfully rescued Shikamaru by taking down the enemy, and when the bait is broken, it is easy for a simple-minded young man, but for a highly intelligent person like Shikamaru, such an act is idiotic. But he would rather be an idiot than live. We not only see Shikamaru's intelligence, but also his quality and courage to save his companions by risking his life several times. The guy who does not value his companion is worse than a waste. Shikamaru is also a ninja who adheres to this credo. He was recognized by Hokage for his performance in the Chunin exams and became the only person to be promoted to the Chunin in this examination. Soon after, Tsunade gave Shikamaru an emergency assignment. Sasuke has just been taken away by Orochimaru's men. At that time, Konohagakure has just experienced the war with Orochimaru and was severely understaffed. He quickly found Naruto, Choji, Kiba, and Neji to form a temporary team, and is the leader of the team, according to the characteristics of everyone, to develop a detailed battle plan and formation. Before he left, Shikamaru told everyone, "Sasuke is not a very good friend to me, and I don't like him that much. However, Sasuke is a ninja of Konohagakure like us and is our companion, so we have to save him even at the cost of our lives." This time in the Sasuke recovery mission, their enemy is Sound 4, who defeated 2 Jonin before being overtaken by the Genin squad. They are the powerful enemies in the early stages. Choji and Neji are determined to die together and defeat 2 enemies, and Shikamaru, Naruto, and Kiba can retrieve Sasuke with their excellent coordination, but Kiba also falls down the valley with an enemy. As Shikamaru and Naruto prepare to retreat, Kimimaro suddenly arrives and takes Sasuke away again. So Shikamaru told Naruto to continue the pursuit, and he came to block the last enemy, Tayuya, cute female ninja again. Tayuya summons 3 monsters to launch an attack. Shikamaru uses flash bombs to extend his shadow and uses shadow possession jutsu to control all 3 monsters in one fell swoop and counterattack Tayuya. Tayuya immediately disarms summoning jutsu, but the monster is just a feint to attract attention, and Shikamaru makes a big circle of shadows and captures the enemy from behind a tree. Tayuya didn't expect her opponent to be so difficult to deal with, so she went into Curse Seal 2 status. The enemy's power suddenly increased, and Shikamaru tried to use Shadow Strangle Jutsu to kill her opponent, but the distance was too far and the shadow could only reach her chest awkwardly. Tayuya angrily launched Genjutsu, and Shikamaru seemed to be hit by Genjutsu, so Tayuya jumped over and tried to kill him. But Shikamaru suddenly looked up, punched Tayuya in the abdomen, and used the shadow to control her again. It turns out that Shikamaru broke his finger with a shadow and broke free from Genjutsu through pain. This time Shadow Strangle Jutsu finally reached his opponent's neck, but Teiya's power is still growing, and Shikamaru's chakra is rapidly depleting, so Shikamaru gradually can't hold on. Suddenly a hurricane comes and blows Taiuya away, and it is Temari who comes to his rescue. It turns out that after Tsunade handed over the mission to Shikamaru, he immediately sent a request for help to Tsunagakure, and Temari was one of the reinforcements. Seeing Shikamaru's appearance, Temari teased, "Are you going to give up again?" Temari uses Blade Dance Jutsu to flatten the love enemy along with the entire forest. Later, although Sound 4 and Kimimaro were all killed, Sasuke betrayed Konoha himself and defected to Orochimaru. Sasuke failed to retrieve the operation, and the team was wounded. Shikamaru blames himself for the failure of his mission and the danger to the lives of his companions, and he even thinks of giving up being a ninja, but his father told him, "Even if you give up being a ninja, the mission will continue, and your companions will continue to fight under the leadership of others, perhaps even more dangerously. If you really value your companions, make yourself better and complete your tasks perfectly." At that moment, Tsunade and Shizune finally came out of the emergency room and announced that Choji and Neji were out of danger, and Shikamaru couldn't hold back her tears any longer. Next time, we will finish the mission perfectly. This time we see not only his intelligence and leadership, but also his strong sense of responsibility, trust in his fellow teammates, and his determination and courage to pick up after a failure. However, his next mission is a nightmare. 3 years later, Konohagakure suddenly received word that 2 members of the Akatsuki had invaded the Land of Fire, so Tsunade sent 20 teams to capture the enemy. Shikamaru and Asuma Sensei team up to take part in the operation, and their enemies are Hiden and Kakuzu, who have the uncanny power of immortality. The detailed battle will be explained in Asuma's video. In the end, due to the disparity in strength and intelligence, Asuma died a heroic death. Shikamaru once again shed tears. 3 years have passed, I have not grown at all, it is my own weakness that has killed Asuma. After returning to the village, Shikamaru calmly brings the sad news to Anko and misses Asuma's funeral. He can't face Asuma and Anko, and their future child until he avenges Asuma's death. Shikamaru didn't let this get him down, and he spent the night researching tactics, and with the information Asuma gave him in exchange for his life, he developed the perfect tactic for Hiden's immortality and curse power. During the night, they gather outside Konohagakure's door, which is an unauthorized action against the rules. At that moment Tsunade appeared and stopped them. Tsunade understands that Shikamaru is determined to kill, but it is too dangerous to rely on him alone, so he says that the team needs at least 4 people to go out. That's when Kakashi shows up. Kakashi and Asuma have been close friends since they were children. He was always late, but this time he was waiting at the door early. With the addition of Kakashi, Shikamaru's confidence is increased several times, and he adjusts his battle plan by handing over a syringe to Kakashi. Kakashi's intelligence is also very high, and after listening to Shikamaru's tactics, he is also sincerely impressed. Shikamaru started searching along with the place where they fought last time. Ino used mind transfer jutsu to attach to the eagle and found the enemy through the eagle's eye vision, and the battle of revenge for Team 10 began. Shikamaru's first shadow possession jutsu sneak attack, Hiden and Kakuzu found the shadow to avoid it, followed by 2 explosive kunai attacks. Hiden's side was blown away, and Kakuzu hardened body to resist. Shikamaru shot 2 flying knives with explosive tags at him again, and Hiden and Kakuzu avoided the knives this time but found themselves suddenly unable to move. It turns out that this is a relic of Asuma, which can absorb Chakra's knife, and Shikamaru attached the jutsu to the knife, pinning their shadows before the explosive kunai, only to prevent them from blocking the attack. At this point Choji strikes as planned, using the spiky human boulder and hitting Kakuzu directly. Kakuzu made a seal before he was hit, and Kakashi, who was ambushed, saw it. The seal he made was earth-style, and by hardening his body, he was able to hold Choji. Kakuzu proudly said, "Any physical attack is useless to me." As soon as the words left his mouth, Kakashi attacked him from behind and sent a lightning blade through his body. Hiden could not help but shout, "Not that any physical attacks are ineffective against you." But Kakashi's Sharingan saw through Kakuzu's tactics just now and used the lightning style to restrain the earth style. But Kakuzu then also showed the real power. He actually has 5 hearts, by lightning blade to kill 1, and 4. But so far, it's just a prelude to Shikamaru's offensive. Kakashi collected Kakuzu's blood with a syringe just now, which is the most important part of Shikamaru's plan. Shikamaru took the syringe and everything was in place for Kakashi to take control of Kakuzu and himself to take on Hiden. Hiden focused all his attention on avoiding the shadow. He thought that Shikamaru, who is good at medium and long-range fighting, would not risk being picked up blood to approach him, but he did not expect that Shikamaru would dare to rush directly to him. Hiden blocked Shikamaru's fist with his hand and made body contact, and shadow possession jutsu succeeded again. Shikamaru then took Hiden for a walk into the nearby forest. Deep in the forest, Shikamaru spreads explosive tags around and pretends that Chakra has exhausted the shadow possession jutsu. The freed Hiden slashes at Shikamaru and finally sees the long-awaited blood. He licked the blood from the tip of the knife and drew a cursed spell on the ground, turning his body into a skeleton. Shikamaru looked at Hiden with fear, and Hiden inserted the steel tube into his heart, happy as a child, but at the same time Kakuzu fell down with a sound. It turns out that the blood spilled just now as Shikamaru crushed the syringe containing Kakuzu's blood, and Hiden directly killed his teammate without knowing it. He saw Shikamaru fall to the ground like a corpse. Hiden turned around and left. But Shikamaru got up and slashed Hiden in the back of the neck, and trapped him again with his shadow. Shikamaru launched the long-prepared shadow pull jutsu. All the shadows around the gathering, together with the explosive tag tied to the Hiden body, a strong binding force so that he could not move. Then he thrust the knife into a marker. The ground suddenly collapsed. Hiden was hanging in the center of a deep pit. Shikamaru dug a trap here long before the battle, and lured Hiden here step by step, without missing a beat, and also dried out one of Kakuzu's hearts. The reason why they have to go here is that this piece of dense forest is Nara clan's forbidden place, where the elk will monitor the place for generations so that Hiden can never escape. Shikamaru lit the lighter and Asuma's figure seemed to appear beside him, patting him on the shoulder and telling him, "Well done." Shikamaru took a deep breath and threw the lighter at the enemy who killed Asuma. "Farewell, sensei." Shikamaru didn't even blink as he watched the explosion in front of him. Hiden was blown apart and fell into a deep pit. After finishing Hiden, Shikamaru met Sakura and Sai who came to support him. Sakura wants to treat him, but Shikamaru keeps rushing back to his teammates. Team 10 is still fighting, and he doesn't want any more of his fellow soldiers to die or be injured. Fortunately, by the time he arrived, the battle was over and Kakuzu was finally defeated by Naruto, who came to support him, using wind style, Rasen's Hurricane. In this battle, Shikamaru's intelligence has once again refreshed our knowledge. With sufficient information and preparation, he can play the strong enemy in the palm of his hand. But in addition to intelligence, what impressed us more was the change in Shikamaru's temperament after Asuma's death. Shikamaru has always been a gentle and harmless person. It seems that nothing can make him angry. But this time, whether it is with Tsunade in Konohagakure outside the door when the confrontation is firm, or finally he looked at Hiden that let us feel the anger in his heart. Asuma is his mentor, the person who protected him with his life. To revenge, Shikamaru also seriously fought a battle. After returning to the village, he was finally able to pay his respects to Asuma and face Anko. Shikamaru said to Anko, "When the baby is born, let me be her teacher and watch over her too." Shikamaru, who has completed his revenge, has become a gentle boy again, but the difference is that he has grown up to be a man who can protect the future, just like Asuma, and he has really done so. Feel free to leave a comment below to discuss and we will see you next time.